evening. We are recording live from Arlington, Vermont. And looks like James from Dundas Mile Railroad is here first. All right, pop out the chat so we can actually see it a little bit better. All right. So, well, it looks like I wound up hitting it a little bit too close on the time. Trying to get everything ready for tonight. The plan is to finish up doing the adding the third rail to the selector plate and start on the gauntlet switch or gauntlet track. It's not necessarily a switch, but everyone will see what it is when I show people. Well, hello there, Dwight from Curly's Express. Thank you for coming in. You now join James from the, the Monday crew coming in. I would say basically what's happening in life is that I'm still job hunting. So it's same thing, different day, basically. That's interesting. On the YouTube chat, there's two different styles of waving hand, but on the chat for StreamYard, they're both the same. Don't know. But let's switch over cameras. Let's see, and we'll go to this one, which has been changed. Try to get a little bit closer to the track. Unfortunately, the lights that I have are not the greatest. But the lights that I do have that are actually a lot better interfere with the cameras. So I can't really, I get a lot better lighting, but it just they have an interference with the lights, so I'm not able to use them. So let's use our last piece of end track, flexible end track. There. And we'll peel these off. Now, obviously, once I get the track done, I'm going to have to actually start contemplating on how to do something that I don't think much people actually do, and that's re-gauging the locomotives to the broader, to a different gauge. I'm specifically doing I'm doing a specifically longer, wider gauge, but don't know. All right, let's see. All the way down there. One thing I did come across last night, there is a fundraiser that's going on. Someone who's relatively new. Well, I'm not quite sure how new they are. It's somebody I recently came across. But from my understanding, their cousin very sadly has become an orphan. Sounds like she the child of a single mother. That I don't know the full details, but the mother is no longer with us. Well, hello, John from the CE and I. All right, now let's see. Just making sure that we got the right one going. Probably should throw out the ones that don't work anymore. It would be one of those smart things to do. Alright, that popped up. That. Just want a little bit on there just to start this. I'm going to start this third rail on the selector plate. And once I get this started, I can go take the selector plate off. Yeah, it's not working. This is dead. Let's fold that in half. Let's see which one is not dead. Where's this one? Yeah, alright. This one's not dead. Alright. Let's reline this up properly again. That way, and then we'll put this on there to lay that up. And as that dries, once that dries, I'll basically take the selector plate off and we'll put it in a better place so I can let you see what I'm up to. Yes, hand laid dual gauge. Now, here's the question. You probably haven't seen this before, but can you guess what the gauges are? Now, I'm assuming you've seen a Northwest Shortline Staten drive. This is standard gauge. Now I'm assuming that's going to confuse the hell out of you. No. Well, this is the equipment that I will be running, or at least on the narrow gauge portion, which is pretty much your standard American style of River Rossi style locomotive. Since I'm also using code 55, I gotta grind down the pizza cutter wheels. But the gauge is the narrow gauge is 4 foot 8.5 inches, and the wider gauge is 6 foot. So sort of both are. I guess it's there's no standardized nomenclature for broad gauge, but I have seen it on O gauge forums, where they're talking about O gauge as OW5. So I'm using the W as the wide signifier. So I'm calling this HOW6. I'm modeling 1876, basically the centennial. And basically the railroad is the entire, they're in the process of changing gauges. So everything is, at this point, it's I'm aiming for June of 1876. So basically all the main line has been converted to 3 rail, so standard gauge trains can go through everything. However, the sidings and branch lines have not gotten the 3rd rail yet, so they're still at 6 foot. So that's what my current plan is. The layout name is Pointless, because well, it's sort of a pun, because there's no points on this layout. It's sort of like a small little Inglenook style, except instead of using switches, I'm using a selector plate that's right now beyond this, and right in this area here, which is not quite completely in camera range right now. It's going to be where it's going to have like a gauntlet track here, and then it'll split off into two separate tracks. But all the switching will be done with the selector plate, and then from there, the siding portion will actually just be the 6 foot gauge. So, yeah, I come to think of it, it does sort of look like O and O and 30. Sometimes it's actually very hard to see, without something to scale. Very hard to figure out what stuff is. But I think, no, it is not done solid. All right, I guess we'll try it again. Doing this 6-foot gauge layout, I think laying the track's the easiest part because you're laying track and it doesn't matter what the gauge is. The hardest part is re-gauging the locomotives. It's definitely going to be the hard part of this project. I do have a wheel puller, which I had it earlier. Of course, now that I'm looking for it, can I find it? Of course not. Oh, hello there, Mystic. Right now, I'm trying to get the glue to dry faster. Right now, I'm adding the standard gauge third rail to the selector track, which is back here. As soon as I get this right here solid, then I can probably that locks it down in one spot, so I can actually turn around and start gluing it the other way. Once I get that done, I'm going to see about doing the center portion of the gauntlet track that I'm putting here. Name of the name of the layout, which is sort of a pun, is pointless. So it's going to be basically you got this is going to be the main line, and then, well, I think the scenery is going to be ending right about here, and then there's going to be like a gauntlet track that on the siding, and then it splits off, and then there's two sidings going to a small little freight warehouse. Or at least that's what the plan is. But it's going to be set up as a small little ingle nook. Not dry yet. I don't have an accelerator for the super glue, so. All right, that looks dry. Let's tag one more piece on here. I really hope that's an optical illusion. That looks this looks narrow, but then when the transition is over here, it looks like it's wide. It's on there. I guess it is an optical illusion. Once that solidifies, and I can take the selector plate off and then move it down this way so we can put it under the camera that's up there. So everyone can see a little bit better. Yeah, it's a good thing to know you're home, James. Oh no, there's no dessert in the house. So in other words, Mystic, you have a sort of a dessert desert then. Let's see. Oh, all right. Looks like it's from here. It looks like it's an optical illusion, but from the camera, it looks like it's okay. So that's the important thing. All right, now let's see. We turn around and take the selector out. All right. There's the selector. So I have to. Screwdriver. Oh. All right, now to turn around and switch cameras so you can see a better overhead picture of everything. Got plenty of pizza. I have an odd feeling, things I don't have much dessert either, so. Now there's the overhead. And here's a sneak peek of one of the cameras I use. It's a Look. It was a camera that was put on the the clearance bin at Staples. They seem to work very they seem to work very well, except for my main lights that I like using. For some reason, they cause interference, so I can't use them with my normal setup. No idea why it does that, but it does. So it looks like it widens here. But the wheels are okay with it. So I guess we're going to go that way. Yeah. Now these Stanton drives actually have the fine scale wheel sets on them. This third rail of the standard gauge is more of a to be honest, more of a display rail. I will have it set up where I could actually, run standard gauge trains on it. But it's going to be more. I'm planning on using for the National Model Railroads Golden Spike Award, where you have to demonstrate that you can run 2 trains. And what better way of doing that is having a dual gauge. Let that dry a little bit. Let's see, that one out. Let's see, is this one still? I don't think this one's still good. Maybe. Awful thick. Oh, I'll try it, but one thing I had to do, which is something I haven't actually, trying to remember if I actually did it before. Let's actually go to the local food pantry since I've been recently laid off. I was actually going there to initially see about getting what was the other thing I was aiming for? Medical assistance, but I came in on the wrong day. So I got food instead. Probably saw the biggest carrots I ever saw. I mean, it's like, a normal, I've seen normal sized potatoes even smaller. Oh, hello there, Randall. Thank you for coming in, and sorry to hear about that, Dwight. Pizza in the oven. Well, I know who's having what tonight. That's another inch or so. This is completely popped out. This is going to be very. It's going to be a challenge to see. The 6-foot gauge only works without the third rail. So having the third rail in there is going to be a challenge. Sure, there's plenty of glue underneath. Get that on there. And put weight on it. Check that the Stanton drive, make sure it's still there. So yeah, I'd have to say definitely have to figure out a way to make these things broad gauge. I do have an appropriate the wheel pullers and the Northwest Shrine wheel puller to take that off, which I found this afternoon, but I forgot where I put it again. It didn't go too far because I couldn't put it around too far. How many locos do I got? That is a good question. It can actually be put down to two different categories. One is running locomotives, and two, parts locomotives. I bought about half my fleet is, I want to say, parts locomotives. Mainly because these particular models are not made anymore. You got the ever so fun. This is, I guess, called the what was it now? The Dixie. Dixie mold, which was it's supposed to be the Sierra number 3. Basically, from my understanding is that they wound up making the TV show Petticoat Junction had the locomotive as the main quote unquote character. So what they wound up doing is they made a train set for it. Now the TV show had the locomotive and a combine, number 6 combine. That's all it had. That was the entire train. But with the train sets, they actually had to add extra. I think extra freight cars. I think it was. I don't think it was all passenger. But it's, from my understanding, it's actually 00 gauge. So it's a little bit larger, and broad gauge locomotives were larger than the standard gauge, just like a narrow gauge is smaller than a standard gauge. So my thought process is use the 00 gauge model as the 6-foot gauge. And you can see here, There's actually very large bushings between the main rods and the drivers, and that's to sort of pick that up. Also, if you wind up not exactly the same trucks, but as you can see, even the trucks are slightly larger. So my plan is for the trucks is to actually get some Labelle kits trucks, which unlike unlike the other ones are a lot of them are like one piece, but the Labelles are actually three pieces. So I can replace the center bolster, make it a little bit wider, so it can actually hold a broader gauge wheels on it. But yeah, that's probably going to be the largest challenge, is trying to get the 6-foot gauge axles, basically. Now, technically, I could probably get away with cheating with S gauge mechanisms because they're only about 1 millimeter narrower than HO 6-foot gauge. But okay, that's solid up until there. Is this being solid? No, it is not. All right, let's concentrate on this. Unfortunately, I can't use my 6-foot gauge blocks because of the standard gauge being in the way, but let's see if I can use standard gauge to actually bring this back in line. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any accelerator to accelerate the super glue. All right. Yeah, Ace. Are these asymmetrical? That looks like it's straight down the line. Now, this is one of my parts locomotives. And the reason why I know that it's a parts locomotive, one, the headlight is missing its top, and two, what I wound up doing is that these models had a rubber tire in the back. So basically what I did was took the on this one, took the non-rubber tired one off of this, and then put it on the other one that has the doesn't have the rubber tires. So the ones that I'm using as actual locomotives don't have tires on. Or at least that's what the plan is. And I think, yeah, right now the ones that I have within reach are all the parts locomotives. They don't, it's one of those things you don't really care if they get mixed up with the glue or not. And most of the details I'm more worried. I got these more for the mechanism. Say if the motor gives out or the plastic gear winds up being stripped or something along those lines. I'm actually have to turn around, maybe kit bash one into a from a 12-wheeler back to an 8-wheeler and other things. But one of the things I have found out that 1876 they were doing their best to use air brakes. However, they didn't have electric lights at that point. Their electric lights were still in their infancy, so I would have to find a way to file that off. Uh, and the same thing with knuckle couplers. Knuckle couplers were they were cutting edge technology at the time. So my plan is to uh, use knuckle couplers, but also take put a slot into them so they would be compatible with Lincoln Pen. All right. Well, it looks like I'm only getting this third rail. I'm not getting into the. Won't be getting into the inside of the gauntlet track. All right, that is solid now. Solid. What is not solid? All right. Okay, so it's not solid there. So I guess if I'm in the mood, I actually might turn around and do some live streams midweek. One thing is there's the local NMRA group is having their end of year picnic, and I want to at least have at least the track done, so people would be looking at it going like, "Wait, what's this now?" Yeah, that's how it works. Quite sure how much glue I got under there. Yeah, go that way. So, James, how many trains did you actually wind up chasing? Yeah, actually, another thing, I believe it's Nissy tonight, correct? for the Sidetrack Sunday. Actually, I could also use this because this is also fine scale. The reason why these are in a little bit because this was originally done for a test car for a traction layout. I think I do have another tester with normal NMRA wheels on it, not the fine scale ones, but that doesn't have the narrow setup. Ooh. Yeah, one thing someone I met recently who's actually going to RPI, or Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, which is less than an hour from me. There's a young gentleman that is doing N scale. I think his handle is N scale boy. There's something else to it, but right now he's running a fundraiser for his cousin, who just recently became an orphan. Her mother, being a single mother, wound up passing away. I don't know the full details, but it sounds like it was not by natural causes. Not sure if the father was involved or not. I do not know. But right now they're raising money for it. Well, it was a 24-hour thing over the weekend that ended this morning. I believe Tim from They Make It Like That was also helping out. He was raffling off a car. They were aiming for, the goal for the particular, this particular GoFundMe was $1,000. And before I left this morning, with the help of Tim raffling off of a graffitied car, They wound up they were up to 800. So I do not know if they got their 1,000 mark. This was to help his cousin get basically money for college, and I would have to say $1,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but my assumption is that every little bit helps. So probably you can get a lot more direct information from They Make It Like That. But the glue came off, but oh well. It's one of those things that didn't want that, but not surprised that it did. And with these rail joiners, I was expecting these are N-scale rail joiners because, well, technically I'm using N-scale rail. And I made the wrong assumption that they were like HO scale, where there's a physical tab that comes off of the rail joiner and then gets crimped and all that stuff. But apparently in N scale, all they do is they take an N scale rail or rail joiner and just tack a piece of just solder on a wire. Now, after looking at that, going like, gee, I could have done that myself. But since everything is already here, might as well use it. That's a little stubborn, but we'll finish the gluing up of this, and then we'll figure out the rest of the other. That's solid to there. So is tonight Missy or is it Ray for Sidetrack Sunday? I think last week was Missy, so this is the third week. I want to say it's Ray. I didn't get a notification if it was or not, so I do not know. Ah, it's Rick. Oh, I was completely wrong. So I know Rick has been doing a lot of off-the-wall live stuff lately. Now, one of the things I have to do with the selector plate eventually is to basically, for that end, to make it so it's more around. Okay, that explains that. It looks like the third rail is over this way, and I just have to realize over there is that it was not completely straight. So oh well. They said I'm not really planning on using on this layout using the narrow gauge that much. Longtime viewers will know that I had actually, this right here is sort of the standard gauge layout that I've been put on hold. So, I mean, I think we're almost there. All right, we are almost to the end. So, put that there. All right, I think this is good now. That's what I like about using these little super glue, like 2 grams, because if you wind up using only a gram and then all of a sudden you need to, 3 months later use the other gram, usually this winds up being, pretty much solid or useless. But if you got like the big ounce, half an ounce bottles, that winds up being a lot of waste. But if you only wind up using a gram, it's a lot smaller that way. So let's. Looks like yeah, I'm not going to have enough time to basically start other things. All right. That looks like it's going to be it for tonight. Basically, I would have to put everything back and refix the joint over there. Then I'll do that tomorrow. And oh, hello. Well, hello there, Sparky. Thank you for wandering in. Ooh, does that mean it looks like Sparky and the morning crew is going to have a live stream operating on somebody's layout? If it is, apparently you've heard it here first. All right. Okay. Well, that'll be it for this week. So, yeah, apparently Sidetrack Sunday is the Rick's channel, which is the False Bailey Railroad. So I guess I'll see people over there. And yeah, it looks like you Sparky, you got here just when I'm getting ready to close. I usually try to be 15 minutes before Sidetrack Sunday just to give people a little bit time, between shows. But On that note, I believe the world needs more love. So find your passion. Oh, you're always lurking. Okay, that's it. Uh, so, so your passion is lurking. Okay, I understand now. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around.